It's time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from the Golden Q in Hayes. The Golden Q, dining, billiards, and a whole lot more. 2 blocks east of campus. The Golden Q. If the game is on, we're open. Tiger Talk is also brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Alice, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, and compassion, all right here. Adams Brown, strategic allies and CPAs. BTI, your John Deere dealer in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. The Taco Shop, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. You've never had it so good. G&L Tire and Automotive, complete automotive service and repair, and tires for all driving needs.
And a good afternoon, and welcome into another edition of Tiger Talk. We are live at the Golden Q in Hayes. If the game's on, they're open. Of course, they have their daily lunch or daily food, mainly burger and drink specials. Of course, the burger of the month and a whole lot more. So stop on by, just 2 blocks east of campus. Of course, they'll have the KU game on tonight. So if you want to come on out, get your spot and cheer on the Jayhawks in the national championship game, it'll be on here at the Golden Q. A lot of preseason spring training baseball opening day coming up later this week. So come on out to the Golden Q. Great place to play hooky on Thursday and watch the Royals opener here at the Golden Q. Again, if the game's on, they're open. We're going to talk some baseball and softball. Adrian Pilkington, head softball coach, with us. Jared Goodale, head baseball coach, will be joining us a little bit later on in the program as well. One programming note, next week, because of Royals baseball, our show will be on Tuesday. We'll have a Tuesday Tiger Talk because the Royals have an afternoon game 1 week from today, next Monday. So make that programming note. We'll be on the air Tuesday with Tiger Talk here from the Golden Q in Hayes. And again, you can always chime in with a question. All you have to do is go to the FHSU Athletics website, FHSUathletics.com. Go to fans. You'll get a drop-down menu. There at the very bottom of the menu, you'll see Ask the Coach. And if you submit a question and we use it, you'll be in the running for a $25 gift card from the Golden Q here in Hayes. And with that, we bring in the head softball coach at Fort Hays State, Adrian Pilkington. Her squad going 2-2 on the road this weekend. Couple of big wins at Pittsburgh State Friday, a couple of tough losses at Missouri Southern on Saturday, and it was kind of one of those weekends. A great emotional comeback win in Game 2 to get the sweep over the Gorillas, and a good Southern team on the road and just couldn't quite get it. Had the one they got you 8-0, and you fell behind early and couldn't come back and get that second game. But kind of how the season has gone a little bit good, a little bit bad, up and down.
Yeah. I mean, it's just trying to get the kids to come out and be consistent every game, and it's hard to do. I mean, you play 56 games, so you're going to have some of those up and down moments. So we're just trying to keep on track and keep moving forward and get a little bit better.
And we've talked about it. This is a young team. You do have some veterans sprinkled in there, but for a lot, these are all new experiences, and you got to go through it. You got to experience it. That's how you become veteran, through all those experiences. And it just kind of feels like that's kind of still the feeling out process. Even though you look where we're getting almost halfway through the season, but still a lot of firsts for everybody when involved.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those deals. You got to go out there. You're going to take your lumps. You're going to have your successes. You got to just find a way to bridge the gap and learn to get better from both and try to just kind of remain even keel.
Let's talk about the Pittsburgh State doubleheader. Big games going into that one, and you came away with the victory in Game 1 by a final of 5-1, a 4-run third inning, and excuse me, did a good job of just holding on and maintaining from that point on.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that kind of set the tone for us. We did some good things offensively with our bats, and we're able to drive in some runs in some clutch situations. And I feel like there were opportunities for us to kind of go out there and put that game away, but that's just still the lesson we're continuing to try to learn. It's just the less at bats the other team has, the better.
You got a run in the top of the first. How big was that, just to maybe ease the nerves and then maybe more importantly put a 0 up in the bottom of the inning. But how big was that for this team?
I think it was just a big-time momentum thing, and it's something we've talked about with the kids is just, get on the board first, score first. That way you're not having to play catch-up, and so I think that was just a nice tone setter for us. Kind of give you some freedom in the rest of your at-bats, a little bit more relaxed going into the rest of them. Like you don't have the pressure of the whole game on, a couple at-bats.
And as we said, you put 4 on the board in the third inning. 2 singles, a double, another single, and then a pitch change, a walk, and then another base hit. Just kept the pressure on them, and that was obviously the difference in the ball game, that 4-run third inning.
Yeah, it just it's just we're not a big home run team. We're not a big I guess extra base hit team. So it was nice to see us go up there and just put productive at bat after at bat together, and I think that made just a huge difference for us, even in our confidence.
Yeah, Sarah Tiffany had a double, a 2-run double. She drives in 2, a 2-hit game for her, 2-hit game for Lauren Beggs. Those top 3 in the lineup had 5 of your 7 hits in the game. They really kind of set the tone offensively.
Yeah, and I mean that's just what we need from them consistently going into these games. Just be those kids that can host good at bats and keep their composure and just go one to the next and not let success or failure kind of build on you.
Pitt State got that run in the 6th, and then they got a double in the 7th. Made it a little bit interesting, but I guess credit to your team, found a way to hold them at bay in that one.
Yeah, I think we just had enough confidence from the previous innings in the game throughout, and so we were just able to play freely and not under pressure and just know that we had to produce our outs there.
Had to be happy with Savannah Egger. She gets her 6th win, went the distance, 1 run, 5 hits. 8 strikeouts, only 1 walked. Looked like she was pitching pretty well.
I actually didn't know she had 8 strikeouts, but I think that is a pretty good representation of her deception. That's a good hitting team. She just is a spinner. The ball moves so much with her when she can hit her spots, and she went out there and competed really hard for us that day.
Tigers got the victory in that first game by a final of 5-1, and then a dramatic come from behind win in game number 2. A 4-run 7th inning, ended up being a slugfest, 9-8 the final, and obviously things weren't looking great, but what a great way to win it. You get a 4-run inning and come from behind to pull off the victory.
Yeah, I was definitely proud of those kids. I think they just had some confidence built up and knowing that we could go up there and offensively still do some damage, and they didn't try to put all the pressure on 1 or 2 at bats. They just strung them together and just did a little bit at a time.
You mentioned Pitt. They can hit the ball. They've been a big bopping team, if you will, for a while. And I think 5 of their 8 runs came off of home runs in that game. Lambert hit a couple of them. They got some gals who can really crush the ball, and that was obviously a key in that contest.
Yeah, we were definitely going to have to do our part to keep their bats at bay, and I think we did. We did eventually give up a couple to Lambert, but we kept her quiet in the first game, and then we kept another one quiet, their 3-hole, Paxton Hayes, who's been able to do some damage in the past. And so I think just being able to minimize the damage and not let them do a whole lot. Lambert finally came around a little bit, but those are just competitive kids that hit the ball hard.
Guys are down those 3 runs going to your last at bat. Could you sense that they had that comeback in them at all? I mean, it feels like they didn't panic or anything and just kept plugging away.
Yeah, I definitely didn't feel the anxiety, I guess, in those moments. I felt like they were composed in their at-bats, which made me feel a little bit more settled than some of our previous games.
And once again, base hit, double, another single after a pitching change. Then you drew a couple of walks, and then you got the air, and it allowed you to get a couple of runs and then get another ground out to drive in a run. But just kept putting the pressure on and not making it easy on the opponent.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, those walks were just as big as hits were for us in those moments, because I think we took those counts pretty deep and battled and were able to come out and just keep the pressure on their pitching staff. At that moment, it was just us keeping in perspective that the pressure's not on us, it's on them to go get their outs, and we just have to keep applying.
Bailey Carlson, bit of a rough start, gave up the 7 runs in 2 2/3, but Morgan Schmidt in relief, and then Savannah came back in for that final inning to close the door. The bullpen really did well. You keep them, I think, one earned run in the final 4 1/3 innings in that game.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job. And Bailey always goes out there and competes really well for us. It's just, we had a long stretch, too, where they hadn't thrown to live batters. And so sometimes kids just need those consistent tune-ups, which we didn't necessarily have built into our schedule. So she bounced back nicely the next day.
Well, the Tigers got the sweep as they knocked off Pittsburgh State in a dramatic fashion, 9-8. Got out hit 13-11, but went at 9-8. And then on the road to Joplin for a couple of games on Saturday against a very good Missouri Southern team. We'll talk about that. Look ahead to the week ahead. Fort Hays State's going to be at home this weekend. Haven't had a lot of home action, but they'll be there this weekend. We'll take a preview of Emporia State in Washburn as we move along. Tiger Talk is brought to you by G&L Tire and Automotive, and join them in celebrating their 25 years of service with their 25 Days of Savings event this month, in for the month of April. That's at G&L Tire and Automotive. They're on the bricks in downtown Hays. We will take a break. More with Fort Hays State softball coach Adrian Pilkington after this timeout. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. We're live at the Golden Q with the games on. They're open. In fact, right now, the Astros and Mets and some spring training baseball on right now. Of course, they'll have the national championship game tonight, so come on out and watch it here at the Golden Q if the game's on. They're open. Tiger Talk also presented by the Hays Orthopedic Institute. Expertise, technology, and compassion all right here. That's the Hays Orthopedic Institute. They're the official team physicians for Fort Hays State Athletics. We're talking softball with Coach Adrian Pilkington. The Tigers splitting their 4 conference games this weekend on the road. They swept Pittsburgh State on Friday, then got swept at Missouri Southern on Saturday. And a good Lion team, and they jumped out early, got 4 in the bottom of the first inning in that first game, and just kind of controlled it and went on to win that thing 8-0.
Yeah, we just kind of got down early and just gave up a bunch of singles kind of through the middle that, just found holes. So I don't feel like we got hit super hard, just, timely and found spots we couldn't defend against.
And you had a chance in the top of the first, got a leadoff walk and then a one-out single, just couldn't put it together. And I kind of felt like that's how the day went. Had some chances and just could never either get the big hit or just make that big play to kind of get you over the hump and get you back into ball game.
Yeah, early on in that game, I felt like we looked a lot like we did at Pitt State, where we were just putting together competitive at-bats and putting some pressure on them, and then we just kind of slowly, I guess, deteriorated a little bit from that. I don't know how to explain it.
Savannah got the start in that one, and after being brilliant, he gave up the 4 in the first and then kind of settled in. Only won a third of an inning, and then you bring in Morgan Schmidt and did her best to kind of hold them at bay there. They end up getting a couple of earned runs off of her, but just one of those days in the circle for your team.
Yeah, I felt like kind of their bat paths just matched Savannah a little bit better, and then we kind of went through a little. We had to kind of switch up our signs a little bit because I think they were kind of trying to pick them, and I think that got in her head a little bit. Being a freshman, you're just not used to seeing that and experiencing it, so I think it was just kind of a combination of a few bad things for us.
Yeah, it's fun. It happens in baseball and softball. That's part of the game, but probably more so at the collegiate level and adjusting to that. Again, one of those learning experiences for your young staff.
Yeah, I think she'll learn and she'll adapt from it in the future. It is part of the game, and it's the way it goes, and that's why you just have to have plans in place to make those adjustments. But I think it just maybe got to her a little bit more than it should have.
And then game 2, boy, tough luck loss 3-1. Really good game. They scored in the first. Again, had a few opportunities in the contest to maybe try to get back. You tied it in the third, and then they just get those 2 runs in the 6th inning. But a well-played game. Just unfortunate you came up on the short end of that one.
Yeah, I think they had a little bit more experience than us in those situations, and I think we did a pretty good job. We had our chances, and we just didn't capitalize on them. We had bases loaded with no outs early on in the game. We just couldn't get our runs crossed there. So, it's not just a matter of applying the pressure. It's, having to come up with a clutch hit or, clutch at bat in those moments. So, I think we failed ourselves a little bit there, but competed and bounced back from, a pretty tough loss, right away. He had a short memory, so that was good.
Yeah, you had 3, got 1 run in that 3rd inning, but couldn't get another one across, and unfortunately just didn't quite work out for you. But Bailey Carlson had to be happy with her. Went 6, the 2 earned runs on 5 hits, scattered them. Didn't strike out anybody, but only walked 2. I mean, did enough to keep your team in the ball game.
Hey, she did a great job, keeping the ball low in the zone, and she kept their hitters off balance is the main thing. All they really did versus her was pound the ball into the ground until that late inning. They elevated a couple, and they were able to snag a run. But she did a great job, especially bouncing back from day 1 at Pitt.
Well, your team now gets a chance to play back at home this week. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. But before we do, we're going to pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
With a combination liquor and 14 KEYS Hayes.
Gerard Wellbrock, Adrian Pilkington, Fort Hays State head softball coach. We are live at the Golden Q. It's Tiger Talk on this Monday. And again, a reminder, next week the program will be on Tuesday due to a Royals baseball game here on KAYS. So next Tuesday at 12:15, live from the Golden Q. Tiger Talk brought to you by BTI. They're your John Deere dealer. Locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family, in partnership with your family. We'll take another break. We'll preview some home games for Fort Hays State. Rivals with Washburn and Emporia State will be in town. We'll talk about it next on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
Fact: 8th Street Liquor is where good times start. Next fact: 8th Street Liquor has the best selection and prices on beer, liquor, and wine. Okay, I don't want to bore you with all the facts, but the fact of the matter is, you just can't get better than 8th Street Liquor. Yep, 8th Street Liquor, where good times start. That's the fact. Jack? Oh yes, they have plenty of Jack too.
And welcome back to Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock, joined by softball coach Adrian Pilkington. The Tigers at home. Get some more home games. It feels like you've been on the road. You got a few, and then you're back on the road. But big doubleheaders coming up on Friday with Washburn, Saturday with Emporia State, teams that you're going to be battling with to try to get into the tournament. And still a lot of conference play to go, but starting to where you try to put some wins together. Obviously, Washburn having a nice season. They're in 3rd place right now in the conference. You'll get them for 2 on Friday, and that'll start off the little homestand and hopefully a good day for your squad.
Yeah, I think we just need to continue to go out and compete and climb the ladder, within our conference wins. I think 3 of 4 would have been really big for us this weekend, and we just fell a little bit short. So we just got to stay at it and go out and compete every single game, because there's not going to be any easy ones.
And Washburn, they've been a pretty consistent program here the last several years. I think, 10-2 in the conference right now coming into this one. What do you know about them? What do they do well? It seems like offensively they've been pretty good here the last few years.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to keep their bats at bay, and we're going to have to find a way to get to Ginter's their number 1 pitcher, and she throws the ball well and competes. And then, just making sure that we're doing a good job of putting together quality at-bats offensively and just continuing to hit throughout. Don't surrender any at-bats. Go out there and do your job offensively. And I think if we can put up some runs, I feel fairly confident in our pitching pitching staff that we're just going to go out and compete and try to produce outs.
And then Emporia State on Saturday, and again, they're just kind of right ahead of you a little bit in the standings. So, they've been a consistent winning program, always very solid. It seems like, though, you've had some just tremendous games with them over the years for whatever reason. And goofy, weird stuff happens.
Yeah.
It just seems like there's always one opponent, and just if you haven't seen it before, it's probably going to happen in that game. It seems like it's Emporia State for you guys.
Yeah, it does seem like that's one of those teams that we just kind of have some real grinders and just some interesting game finishes versus. So, they're always scrappy. They're always, pretty into their tradition and believe that they can win. So I don't necessarily think that they're, super, super strong. I think there's ways to get to them. It's just you gotta go out and beat them, mentality-wise too.
And, we've talked a lot about the youth on your team, and that is a reality, and there's a lot of growing with that. But also now they've got quite a few games under them, and I'm sure as a coach, this is the time you're looking for some of them to put it together, be a little more consistent. And I would think that's probably, especially with a young player, the biggest thing is just that consistent every day. You know what you're going to get from that player, whether it's hitting, fielding, pitching, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I think we've made some really pretty good defensive plays overall, especially with our youth, and seeing the ball hit at a faster rate and a faster pace. But I think they're starting to get more comfortable, and they're putting together more consistent at bats. We might not see it necessarily in their averages, but we're seeing them do some productive things at the plate. Like even Reagan Curry's starting to really come around right now for us, and even though our average doesn't reflect it necessarily, she's driving in some runs and doing some good things up there. So I think she's starting to get more comfortable. Kiana Blake's a little bit the same way. Puts together some pretty solid at bats for us. Just maybe not carrying super high average, but she also, missed some games early on due to illness. So we're seeing some of that come around from some of those kids, and it hurts a little bit having Lindsay Kelly out of the lineup for us after that Kearney game. She was injured, so she was just really starting to come on strong too, and reading her defense a little bit better as a slapper and knowing where the opportunities are to find holes and get on base. And she makes a difference for us. Just her speed in general, she produces some runs for us, just being able to steal some bags and do some savvy things out there. But we're getting there.
Well, hopefully this is the time, and maybe getting back at home, these 4 games against rival opponents will kind of get you going and just get you on a little bit of a roll. We've seen it before. It just takes 1 or 2 games, and if you just consistently put out a string of wins, can make all the difference. In the way it's looking in this conference race, that could be just enough to get you to the tournament at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think we definitely have a good shot, and it's in our control and it's in our hands. We have a couple less games than a lot of people in conference because of that postponement. So, I think we're in a good position to strike. You come out of those weekends 2-2, 3 out of 4, and that changes things a lot for you.
Well, hopefully it's a good weekend. We will have Saturday's doubleheader, by the way, over on 96.9 KFIX. We'll have coverage of that beginning at 11:40 for the noon first pitch for the Tigers in Emporia. But hope you can get out on Friday and watch the Tigers take on the Ichabods of Washburn as they return home for a couple of key doubleheaders here this weekend. Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Have a good rest of the week of practice, and we'll see you at the ballpark this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
There you go. That's Adrian Pilkington, head coach of the Fort Hays State softball team again. Washburn on Friday, Emporia State set for Saturday, both at Tiger Stadium. Tiger Talk is brought to you by the Taco Shop. Dine in, carry out, delivery. You know the number, 625-7114, or you can use their handy Taco Shop app. You can get their full menu on the app. So whether you have it delivered, whether you order it to go or eat inside, it's the Taco Shop. You've never had it so good. We will take a break. When we come back, we'll shift gears, talk a little baseball. Jared Goodale joins us here on Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here. It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
Yeah. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. We're live at the Golden Q on this Monday. If the game's on, they're open. They'll have the big game on tonight. The Jayhawks in North Carolina. Come on out and watch it here at the Golden Q. They've got some great burger specials. Burger of the month. We're going to try it here today. It's been highly recommended. We'll report back to you next week. The program brought to you today by Adams Brown, where they do more than just run numbers and file tax returns. They work hard to become strategic allies. Adams Brown, strategic allies, and CPAs. We're visiting now with baseball coach Jared Goodale, and it almost sounds like a broken record, but again, 3-game set. Missouri Southern having a really, really good season, over 20 wins already, and you have a tough one in the opener that could have gone either way. You have a middle game that just wasn't a good day, and then one bad inning yesterday, and other than that, for 8 innings, it's pretty much a draw, but unfortunately, 3 losses, kind of a broken record, I'm sure, for everybody.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I think this weekend offensively was very frustrating.
Yes.
Not getting swept or not scoring all weekend. Obviously, you can't win if you don't score. And game 1, very frustrating because we had some chances. I think we got leadoff guys on a couple times. I know we had first and second, nobody out. We failed to get 3 different bunts down to move them over, and then another time we got picked off on a hit and run on a leadoff with the leadoff hit, and in a tight game, so things like that, you got to give yourself a chance.
Well, and when you're scratching and clawing to try to get wins, it becomes those little things, and laying down the bunt, and it's unfortunately kind of become a bit of a lost art in baseball at all levels. You see it, and but man, that could still be so important, especially in a game like that where runs are going to be hard to come by.
Yeah, Friday night baseball. You're hoping they're tight games, they're low scoring, and it comes down to those little things like that, putting the ball in play and executing. And man, we've worked on bunting more than probably I ever have in a season in my life between the fall and this year, and it is, like you said, it's a lost art, and I think first and foremost, guys have to want to do it and embrace the challenge of it and give yourself up for the team. It was just good baseball. If we could have played good baseball, and we definitely would have had a shot to win that first one.
Yeah, 4-0 in that. You're held to 3 hits, but as you said, I think most of those were leadoff hits. You had a guy on, and that seems to be a problem, coming up with that next big hit after maybe you're in an opportunity. It has been a bit of a problem, and it looks like it was this weekend again.
Yeah, driving guys in. Grant has been pretty good for us this year, but we really haven't had anybody else to be a really big RBI guy, and when he's not doing anything offensively, if he's struggling, we have a hard time scoring runs, and guys need to step up. Guys, we need to have the ability to drive guys in, and we just haven't gotten that yet.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Grant's kind of in a little stretch here. He hasn't swung it maybe as well as he was earlier in the season.
Yeah, that makes it tough, and it feels like everybody's had their chance, and now it's so in their head. Guys just got to be mentally tougher than that, and at this point, what do you have to lose? And they're still not execute. I mean, there's still, I think it's just in their head, and now it's built so much, especially this weekend, it's built so much of just even being able to try to situationally hit, and it gets in it's in the guys' head. In some way, we got to find a way to put it behind us.
Yeah, and again, easier said than done sometimes, but you keep on plugging. Zach Bird gave up the 4 runs on 8 hits. Didn't walk anybody, struck out 3. Really threw well for you guys on Friday night.
He did. I think he was perfect for the first 3 innings. So I mean, again, you're throwing up zeros. We got to get a lead, and we had, like I said, we had some chances in the early innings, and it's just a totally different ball game. It's managed differently, and it could take some of the pressure off. But he did a great job. I feel like he made one bad pitch in the inning that he gave up, that they scored 3.
The 6th inning.
Yeah, it was a first pitch home run, or he hung a breaking ball or something like that. But he definitely gave us a chance, and then Mason Holton and Jason Robertson, both looked really good. They threw up quick zeros, and we were thinking that we'd have Mason back available for Sunday or Saturday, and he did. But he continued to throw the ball really well, and Jason Robertson in his second appearance threw the ball really well.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got some young guy. It's kind of strange because you do have a veteran team, and we talked about this a little bit last week, but you've got a lot of young kids playing and gaining that valuable experience and starting to see some signs. You mentioned Holton has pitched in limited duty, normally at third base for you, but came through, and Robertson the same way, just the one hit, but no runs and the strikeout in that one inning that he worked. Some positive signs to build off of for the future.
For sure. He's been a two-way guy, but he's got good stuff, and we've needed him to focus more on pitching this year when you're not throwing it well, and Jason's looked good, so that's good to see. And then Mason, he going into it, we knew he was going to be one of our better arms. We just haven't got him in there enough, and just because he struggled a little bit earlier, and he was having some success at third base for us early. So, but we got to get him back out there. And then I thought Ty Campbell had a good weekend this weekend. He didn't have as much to show for it, but he swung about really well. I think the first or second game, I thought everybody kind of thought he hit one out, and the wind knocked it down a little bit in his first at bat. But he had good plate appearances, and he swung the bat really well and gave us another presence in the lineup.
Saturday lost 10-0, and again one of those games you fell in a 5-0 hole, and that just makes it so difficult. And everything we've talked about, it just exasperates that a little bit more when you're down 5-0 after the first inning.
Yeah, and we talked to the guys quite a bit about it. It was like deflating to them right away. But you got to keep playing. Their guy they threw was pretty good. He had a good. He's had a nice year, and I think he's a prospect. And throws hard with a good breaking ball. They had their 50-year reunion, and
saw that.
A lot of people there, and we did not rise up to meet the challenge. They played pretty well. And
Southern, I mean, they've been a really good program for a handful of years now, and a lot of it's been on pitching. And then, how baseball is. I mean, sometimes as you pitch is as you go, and they've got some veteran arms who've really thrown well this year, and that's why they've won 20-plus games up to this point this season.
Yeah, they do. They got a nice pitching staff. They had the ceremony for the National Pitcher of the Year last year before the Friday game, and just thinking glad we didn't have to face that guy. But they threw some good arms out there for us against us.
5-run first inning off of Hunter Parker, and he's been battling, trying to figure it out. But obviously that's a tough hole as he just continues to struggle to pitch to the level you saw him throw a year ago.
Yeah, and when you're not swinging the bats well, 5 feels like 100. In the first and. But, he threw up a 0 and after that, but just could never get it, really settled in and get into a groove. We need him, and I don't know if we need to move him to the back end or change it. But, 2 out of the 3 games this weekend, we give up a big crooked number in the first, and it just feels like you're skiing uphill the whole rest of the way.
And that was the case yesterday, 5-0 after 1, and then Give Jake credit. Battled after that. It was a rough start, obviously, but if you could have found any way to get a little offense going, you had a chance to chip away because they scored 2 the rest of the day. In fact, they were up 6-0 after 2 and got 1 for the final 7 innings of the ballgame.
Yeah, he really settled in. Even the one they got in the second inning, I think he got the first 2 guys out, and then a leadoff home or a first pitch home run on a breaking ball to their 3-hole, and but then he settled in. It was one of those deals, like telling him, all right, one more, and he just kept cruising through it, throwing up zeros, and one more, and ended up, I don't know if he threw 6 innings or
went 6, yep.
Yeah, and so again, with the one pitch in the second, but the next 5 innings he threw the ball really well. It's just you got to have that intent from the jump, right out of the chute.
And I can ask you, and I'm sure you guys have tried to figure out why, but that seems to have been a problem this year. You have the one bad, but a lot of times it's one bad early, and then it's, as you said, you're down 5-0, but it feels like it's 8 or 9-0 because of the way it's gone this year. Any indication why? I'm sure you've pushed every button to try to alleviate some of those things.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I thought a little bit yesterday early on was a little bit of the pitch selection on pitches that were called, and being a little more off-speed heavy, and we got that point across to him, and then he threw really well after that. He started locating his fastball, and he did well. Like I said, his mistake, his breaking ball, he's got to have more intent on the ball on every pitch he makes, and I think he was just rolling breaking balls up there, and they were hitting him pretty good.
How much are you guys calling the pitches? Do you get the catcher? I mean, how much leeway do you get? How do you guys go about it? I know everybody does it differently. Is it different with different pitchers or maybe different catchers?
Yeah, we've tried about every combination this year between that and players and just trying to find something that works, and it's been a struggle. I think one of Jake's strengths, or what one of his strengths in the past has been is to being able to read hitters and read timing and where they're at in the box. And I told him that after the first inning, you got to trust your instincts and again, like when a hitter shows you an obvious weakness, you don't got to get tricky and try to trip them up, like exploit that weakness until they show they can counterbalance it. So he finally, I think he did that. I don't know why he didn't do that. It just felt like he didn't have that in the first inning, and sometimes as a starter when you're trying to settle in, you can get hit. They can hit you upside the head, and it's like it takes a second to kind of regroup from it. And I thought he had that kind of look after the first inning, but then again when he settled in, he did a great job. But we got to have that early, like Zach Berg did, and then we got to score too.
Yeah.
So,
and as you said, it's frustrating to not score in the series, and it's gone on a few games prior. And I guess what's baffling is you were swinging it well, you were scoring double figures, and you felt, okay, the offense is coming, and now we just get the pitching to improve a little bit, got a chance to make a run, but, boy, unfortunately, it just ground to a screeching halt, and that's got to be what's frustrating, because it looked like you were really starting to get some progress going on the offensive side of things.
Yeah, in our last win against Newman, it seems like a long time ago, but we had 20 hits and scored 15 runs, and it's like, where did that team go? And they've lost a lot of confidence at the plate, and like I said, Grant's a big part of that. When he goes, we go, and some other guys were giving us a nice boost, but you're at that point of the season where you kind of getting pitched the same. Teams kind of starting to know some guys' weaknesses, and the pitchers have really settled in, and if the two or three guys that are swinging the bat pretty good, if they start struggling, it's just contagious, especially when they're older guys, and so we need to get guys to step up. The frustrating part was, yesterday in the last inning, we finally got a hit with runner in scoring position, and our base runners just didn't go. Like we were able to score, and so even just scoring one in the ninth would just give us a little boost moving forward to not get shut out on the weekend. And so that was frustrating when we finally got a hit with runners in scoring position. We still don't score.
Tiger Talk brought to you today by Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, here to make every story shine brighter. It's the way they do banking, one story at a time. Check them out at goldenbeltbank.com. 4-day stay at home. They've got a non-conference game with Washburn on Wednesday. We'll talk about that in Northeastern State coming up on the weekend. We'll preview all of that as we continue. One final segment here on this Monday afternoon. Tiger Talk live from the Golden Q on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayespost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, real country. 99 KZ Country.
And welcome back. It's our final segment here on Tiger Talk. Need to correct something. We're talking about the show next Tuesday. Baseball and softball are both actually in Wichita to play Newman next Tuesday. So we will not have a show on Tuesday of next week. We have the conflict with the Royals on Monday. So we'll take a week off, then be back the following Monday right here on Tiger Talk. I know that disappoints everybody. The coaches will miss me, I'm sure, but we'll find a way to get by. Tiger baseball back at home Wednesday. Non-league with Washburn, who actually – Washburn's having a really good year. I think they're third place in the MIAA. You played them really well in that 3-game series early on in Topeka. Hopefully that kind of carries over. And I know it's non-league, but boy, to find a way to get a win against these guys on Wednesday would be big, just to get some momentum and just get some positive vibes going.
Man, you said it. We need some confidence. We need some energy. We need some positiveness, and that would be huge for us. And they had a nice weekend too. I think they beat Central Missouri once, and then actually, I think run ruled them, and then ended up losing. They gave up a 3-run home run
Close one,
late. So they played them tough. They got a good club, and but we did. We played them really tough. We thought it was a series we could win, and who knows where we're at in the season if we could have got that done back then. But another chance at it.
Well, we'll see what happens. It'll be Wednesday at 5. We'll be on the air at 4:40 with our Auto World pregame, and then we'll have some Tiger softball for you Saturday. Those games will be on KFIX. Coach, as always, we appreciate the time. Hang in there, and we'll see you on Wednesday at the ballpark.
Thank
there
you,
you go. It's Jared Gadeo, coach of the Fort Hays State baseball team. Tiger Talk is presented today by Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, Adams Brown, The Taco Shop, BTI, Hayes Orthopedic Institute, and G&L Tire and Automotive. And, of course, live at the Golden Q, 2 blocks east of campus. If the game's on, they're open. That'll wrap it up. We'll see you in 2 weeks right here on the Tiger Sports Network.